It was just a normal day in the big city. I was at my 9 to 5. I was about to solve the case that's been haunting me for a lifetime. But that's when the biggest opportunity of my entire career came knocking. You're off the case, bub.
What? Why?
Something that will actually help pay the bills came up, and it's got your name written all over it.
Oh my god. How did this happen?
That's what you're gonna find out. Now get to it, kid. The client wants this done ASAP.
What about Nag 3, goddammit? I'm so close to finding out the truth.
Give it a rest, would ya? Now get to it, kid. At the time, it was hard to tell what I was actually dealing with here. Was it an attempted death, murder, or had the game in question simply left the public's eye? I'm getting ahead of myself here. I was looking at the game known as Multiversus. What was Multiversus? Well, it was a platform fighting game where you could play as Warner Brothers IP and beat up Warner Brothers IP in stage themed around, you guessed it, Warner Brothers IP. It was basically Super Smash Bros, but with Warner Brothers characters, and it was free to play. You could play in a 1v1 to see if you're truly better than someone else at a video game, or in a 2v2 where you and a friend or a random player can take on another duo and see if you're both better than two people at a video game. The appeal of the game was the roster, as Warner Brothers owns a lot of things. You can play as the Iron Giant and Shaggy and beat up LeBron James and Batman.
Like, how fun and silly is that?
Now that you have a better idea of what the game actually is, the first thing I did was create a timeline of events to find out when and where the death happened.
Where would be the best place to start? I guess the game's announcement trailer. The game was pretty well received by the public and press when it was first announced, but why? Well, for one thing, the Smash Bros DLC had been wrapped up for a good chunk of time by that point, and people were just desperate for something. I mean, for goodness sakes, they were calling a Nickelodeon fighting game the Smash Killer. Maybe it was the promises made in the actual announcement? World's Best Online, guilds and leaderboards, the zany roster, and oh, what's this? Anyone is possible. Ah, the classic promise every platform fighter has made over the last 10 years. Okay, so what came next? I guess the alphas and betas. This was the first time people actually got to play the game, and again, the public responded fairly positively to it, with the last beta before full public access getting 60,000 concurrent players playing at the same time. Then the game was released, it reached its highest number of people playing at the same time, a large community, and 10 million registered users. By month 2, the player count dropped and continued to fall over the next 5 months. But why? That was the million-dollar question. Why did it fall off? It looked like it had everything going for it. I figured it would be best if I called it quits and headed home for the night. Maybe a coffee might help get my mind straight. Just a latte to go, please.
Why did we stop playing Multiversus? That game was great. Well, it wasn't that balanced. Like, do you remember the nightmare hellscape that was Taz's tornado or Finn's bag spam? Oh yeah, that was the worst. It also sucked how little money you would get for winning a game. I just wanted to play as LeBron without spending real money, you know? Exactly. Like, we want to play a goofy game. Fortnite's always there. Hey, do you know the Dragon Ball skins are back? Yeah, I think they just got re-added yesterday. We should totally play tonight.
Is that it? People were just frustrated with the balancing of the game and how horrific the grind was to unlock new characters? Surely it can't be that simple. I've got it! Perfect! Just the guy I wanted to see.
Before you say anything else, let me talk.
Oh, okay. What's up?
They're kicking us out. We have until the end of the day to either pay our rent or lose the property.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I can do this anymore, JAMm. I just wanted to say that it's been an honor working with you over the years.
But what if it doesn't have to be over?
What do you mean?
How much was the client paying us for my case?
2 years worth of rent. Why? Wait, you didn't.
You know it.
Okay, let's hear it then. How did the game die?
After playing the game and heavily researching the events surrounding it, I have come up with 4 reasons as to why the game died. Firstly, the game has experienced the same problem most titles have experienced over the last 5 years. Leaks. In the first month of the game being out, people went into the game's file and looked for names and movesets of unreleased characters and stages, with a massive list of future characters circulating online. People knew exactly what was coming out before the developers had a chance to actually show show it off. So most future reveals didn't have the same amount of hype as they probably should have gotten. While this is a weaker point, it is still important to mention as the leaks were a good indicator for how long it would take to bring in new things into the game. The team did accidentally play some music for stages that were not even in the game yet during their slot at EVO. I guess it's better to leak on your own terms.
I don't know about that. What else you got?
When playing the game, you realize that the game itself isn't very good. In fact, you could argue it's pretty bad. Every character feels floaty, even ones that really shouldn't. When playing as a character called the Iron Giant, you would expect them to feel heavy, move pretty slowly while hitting hard. And while he does do a bit more damage compared to other characters, it does not feel satisfying to attack someone as him. Or as anyone, to be honest. When attacking in the game, nothing truly feels like it's making an impact on the enemy's health. You're slowly just chipping away at each other over the span of a match. The only time it really feels good to attack is when the enemy is sent flying, but even then, it's not great, especially when compared to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Every minor move in that game feels like it has a massive impact through the use of animations and sound effects. Multiversus seriously lacks the same feeling. It is crystal clear to me that the team focused more on the gimmick of the game compared to the actual gameplay. While yes, it is funny and silly to see Bugs Bunny take on Velma, the novelty of it goes away fairly quickly, as you realize that the game does not feel great to play. I like what they attempted with perks, allowing for variety in playstyle by offering passive buffs for a character. It's a very interesting concept. However, they just made the third issue more prominent.
Which is
bad balancing. The team really bit off more than they could chew. Because they didn't prioritize gameplay, balancing each character and perks clearly became an issue very early on. They had to rework a lot of things very quickly because of player backlash. A lot of the backlash was fairly acceptable in my opinion. I mean, bad players being able to spam one move that you cannot get out of is very frustrating. And it would be bad enough if that was just with one character. But I remember there was at least 5 of them that had a move that you could not break out of, and instead of punishing the player for using the same move over and over and over again, they would get rewarded with gold and put up higher in the leaderboard. While yes, your attack does get weaker the more you use it, it doesn't matter at all if the player is unable to escape the move. Perks also didn't help with this. A lot of them would encourage this playstyle, giving slight damage increases, extra movement speed, or sometimes health to the character. Minor changes would have been enough for most of these characters, but for some reason the team went nuclear and destroyed the meta. Massive changes to characters, maps, and perks made a lot of people drop the game, and when a new character is added, they are usually busted. Then they will too experience a similar fate.
okay, so what is the final factor?
Because the game is free to play, it needs to make money somehow, so their solution to this was to charge for announcers, battle passes, skins, and characters. In a similar vein to League of Legends, you can get some skins and characters for free by playing the game and earning in-game credit. However, the amount of time it takes to get any of this is astronomical. I have spent at least 24 hours on the game, and I have like 7 characters, when the game has like over 20. The reason for that is because you need to spend the same currency that you do with characters on perks. A character can cost anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 gold. You get 100 gold after your first win each day, and you can get 250 for doing daily quests, which you get a limited amount of per day. You can also get gold by getting toasted by a player and for winning or losing a match, but the amount of gold you get is very small after your first win. The battle pass also allows for you to get gold every so often, but the amount given is just not enough. Perks cost from 100 to 150 gold depending on what the perk does. Perks can be the difference between winning and losing a game, so naturally, people might want to prioritize winning over playing a new character. The game clearly wants you to spend money on characters, which is a weird approach in my opinion, as they're the whole reason why people would want to play the game in the first place. They've made a system that is actively against the player, and that might be another reason why people have dropped the game.
So what are you actually saying here? Are the team's actions actively killing the game?
That's definitely a part of it, but the player base isn't helping either. It's hard to tell what anyone actually wants from this game, but if you ask me, it's obvious the game was hyped up too much, and it just wasn't what it was hyped up to be. People expect too much from these games, but on the other hand, you shouldn't be promising the world when you're only offering an island. I also believe that not having a competitive mode in a fighting game at launch is very bizarre. The game clearly encourages people to be competitive through the leaderboards, so the fact that rank was only available for a short period of time and as an alpha is crazy to me. What isn't crazy though is the player count and why it's so low.
All these factors clearly add up, and I don't know if the game will be able to recover from this.
On top of that, closing the game down for 8 months isn't going to fix any issues.
I hope it does, because I remember playing it back at launch, and honestly, it was a really fun time, but it got bad, really fast.
So it was an accidental death. Real shame, but at least it can be put to rest now. I'll contact the client. Start getting your papers in order. We gotta give this to them pronto. You did good, kid.
Thanks, Chief.
While I was able to solve the case of the accidental death of Multiversus, there is still one thing that I wasn't able to shake off. I'll find out what happened to you one day, old friend.